Hello guys, I'm alive. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. We are going to code JavaScript somewhat. Okay, another Xah Talk Show. And we are just gonna code JavaScript. Before we do, let's get drunk. Okay, so today we are having 二锅头. So this is Chinese vodka. If you don't know, it's also known as 白酒. Basically means Chinese vodka. Okay. Now 50% alcohol, something 56 degrees something. Now they call it proof or something. I don't know. I don't understand. But 56% alcohol by volume, which in chemistry terms it's called ethanol. Fascinating. Xah Talk Show. You are watching, and here's my keyboard. Ultimate Hacking Keyboard 80. UHK 80. Okay, fantastic. You can find my reviews on YouTube and my written reviews on my website, which I'm going to show you. By the way, this trackball, fantastic. This is called Nulea trackball, N-U-L-E-A. Okay, let's switch to my screen so you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yes, showing browser. So I'm coder. I've been a coder for 30 years. I'm an old coder, okay? So today, not Wolfram language. Today we just gonna do some JavaScript. I'm gonna show you, okay? Unicode blog. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Can you see this show font name? You see? Let's have the drink first. I already had one shot, by the way. So this is second shot for the day. If you are here, say hi. Love to see your comments. Otherwise, play at 1.5 speed, okay? Yeah, so I'm gonna like do some drunk coding, something like that. Slightly drunk. You know, when you get drunk, you cannot code, but because it degrades your thinking abilities, actually, your logical analysis abilities when you drink. I don't enjoy drinking that much, actually. So anyway, so I'm, but it makes you stupid, basically. That is the specific intention. I mean, that what is the word? That is what the alcohol does. It makes you stupid, and it makes you relaxed. Your radar systems, your nervous, your senses become dual. Hello, India. Hello, Hive Mind. Hello to India. So India, what time is it? India, let's see. India is like 14.5 hours faster, something 15.5, I think. Wait, or was it 14? But anyway, so let's see. Let me see. India is around 8 o'clock. Let's see. June 8 in the morning. 8 in the morning. Am I correct? Close. 7:15. Fantastic. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna code this JavaScript and the browser object model called DOM. Okay, but first of all, let me show you what it is. Okay, but before that, let's have a drink. So again, this is 二锅头. It's Chinese drink. It's somewhat known as Chinese vodka. Now, vodka, everyone understand. It's Russian thing. It's a pure distilled spirit. By the way, you can read about it today. You can ask AI, what is vodka? How is it made? It's fascinating. It's actually the history of alcohol and the science of alcohol and the biology and the nutritional science of alcohol. Fascinating. Okay. Because when you talk about alcohol, like what is it chemically, you can study. Like I can start to digress, and we're gonna ask AI, what is alcohol, ethanol, chemistry. Then you got the history of alcohol, which is very rich history of human animals. In different regions, you got vodka, you got gin, you got spirits. What does that mean? You got beer, of course. You got wine, red wine, white wine of grapes usually, but other fruits. You got fermentation, which is a chemical process. And what does it mean? You got distillation, which is a way to make concentrated alcohol called spirits. Okay, because how do I know? Because I read up a little bit. I asked AI. Fascinating. So you got you see you got the chemistry aspect of alcohol. Chemistry, like what molecules are they? You got the human history of making alcohol, and then you got the effect of alcohol on animals. Okay, how it interact with your nervous system. Why does it work? Why you get drunk? What is the effect exactly? It makes you stupid and and happy, basically. Okay, that's what I'm doing. It numbs your brain. It incapacitates your ability to analyze and your ability to feel pain. It is also one of the effect. Okay. Listening to you while making breakfast. Oh, what does Indians eat breakfast? I learned, India is a big country, huge. And India is interesting in the sense that, for example, in the past few years in USA, Indians became very popular in politics. So what are you cooking in breakfast in India? And also, what region of India are you in? Like north or south? Because I learned in the past few years that there's some quite big differences. Or just coffee and toast. Okay. So India in the past few years became very politically popular in USA for several reasons. One is because the H1B visa, the Indian immigration, because the USA got fucked up severely and also Europe by immigration, by kind of like racial issue. Okay, like anyway, I'm drunk, so I don't want, so I cannot talk logically. Anyway, so there's immigration huge issue, like, and then they imported Indians, by the H1B visa or whatever for technology, because, well, apparently it is true that hiring Indians is very cheap. Let me tell you why. Okay. So anyway, we are supposed to code this, but let me tell you let me tell you the story anyway. Since we got Indian watchers, yes, there are many Indian. You see, so India, southern India from Bengaluru. Oh, that's the center of technology of India, because I just looked up recently. I was wondering what city in India that has the most people who knows programming. Which city in India has the most coders, and that is Bengaluru. Bengaluru. Okay, it is also known as Bangalore, I think. Bengaluru. So that is actually the city with the most programmers in India. which is in USA, the city with the most programmers is basically so-called Silicon Valley, which is basically South San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I am, where Google, Apple, PayPal all originated here, HP, Hewlett Packard, and a bunch of others, like the whole internet, eBay, Yahoo is also here, like almost all the web, the biggest web corporations, okay? So anyway, so I was saying, so India became very politically discussed topic in USA in the past 4 years because of the massive illegal immigration. The USA president, former USA president imported, like I believe was 10 million. Okay, so they just imported illegally, and a lot of them are actual criminals, okay, like who like murdered people or wanted, or thieves, from other countries, usually, not white people, typically. But that Indian is kind of, they are like, but Indian, apart from, massive immigration of these illegal people, and also from Arab countries, into Europe. So what they say is that Europe got invaded. So what the white man says is that they got fucked, by themselves, by the white fucks themselves, by the white people, such as Sweden. And there's another subclass. Let's not mention it now. Okay. Anyway, so this massive immigration is a big issue in USA in the past 4 years, but also in the past 10 years in Europe, especially United Kingdom, France, and Germany. Okay, especially these countries, massive immigration of non-white people imported into their countries by the white men fuckheads themselves. Okay, by their leaders, such as Sweden, or in France and Germany or UK, by their respective, white, typically like almost all the time white people. Okay, so the white people are fucking themselves up, the white scums. Okay, so that's one thing, big immigration. Now, what about Indians? So the Indian is in as far as USA is concerned, they are, Indian. They got, by chance, Indian is fucked by the British people, by the Brits, the white fucks, the British people. Indian by fucked in the ass by the Brits. Okay, for like in the past 100 years. So I'm mentioning that because that is why India today speaks English. English is their official language for the Indians. There are about 1 billion of them. So the country with the most people today, or the most bloodline, are Chinese and India. Okay, each has about 1 point something billion people. Okay, so we got the most people. So India happens to speak English. That's their official language. Why? Because the Brits, conquered them, runs them. Indians are the slaves of the British white fuckheads. So Indians being fucked by the Brit very much. Okay. No, it is official. It is official language. But okay, you get my point. But it's we can look up Wikipedia. It is, I believe, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I could be wrong, but because you are Indian, you probably know better. But I'm like 100% sure. Because I looked up. It is one of the. Okay, so maybe it's not official language, but I think in practice it is like the, English is the language for India for anyone who is educated. Okay. So it's kind of odd. So in India you have, they speak English and okay, so then they so India, so what I'm trying to say, let me get to the point. So India happens to, so there's a lot of programmers, so USA started to hire a lot Indian. Why? Because they are cheap instead of the white men. Because when you hire Indian programmers, maybe JavaScript, Python, Indian programmers, from my experience, actually I worked with them since like year 2000. Like most of my coworkers are from India. At that time, I don't know anything about politics. Okay. So anyway, so Indian programmers, there's a huge amount of Indian programmers in USA, especially here in Silicon Valley. And also Indian, they became the head of Google and Microsoft and Adobe and quite a lot. And was it also IBM? I forgot. But Indian became, the corporation leaders of the biggest big tech in USA, including Google, Microsoft. That's big enough. That's the biggest empire in whole human history, like Google and Microsoft, and lots of others. Okay, so Indian, they became the CEO of the biggest USA corporations. But anyway, let me get back to what I was gonna say. So Indian programmers, there's a lot of Indian programmers and they are cheap. Why these corporations, as also Elon Musk, Elon Musk running X and SpaceX and Tesla, why do they hire Indians? Because Indians are cheap. It's like you pay half of the pay, or even less, more, much actually less than half, instead of the white people. Because if you hire a white man, oh my God, Jesus, the white guy is gonna complain. It's gonna demand vacation. He's gonna demand rights, this and that, because white men, the white fucks, they are like superior. They have rights. They have lots of rights. They have lots of power. Okay, so they want this, that, human rights or women's right, feminism, and so on and on. And vacation. If you do something wrong, they're gonna sue you. The white fucks, okay, in USA. But Indians, they don't do that, obviously, because they, if they can come to USA to work, as a programmers or whatever, they are very lucky. They fucking crave. They can't hope anything more. It's like heaven. Because in USA they get paid 10 times more than what you can get paid for in India. Okay, so whoever Indian, when they come to USA to go to work in a corporation in coding or whatever, they are very happy. They are quiet. They don't complain. You got something to do, they just do it. They don't complain. They just work. And that is also my experience of the Indians I know. Cheers. So that is why these corporations, Google, Microsoft, or whatever others, and Oracle, my God, Jesus, Oracle, I realize that's another very evil corporation. But anyway, they hire Indians because Indians are cheap and obedient. That's the thing. That's another observation I want to make, okay? Because turns out Indian people, they are obedient too. They obey the white, the evil fuckheads. That is why they climbed the ladder. They became the head of Microsoft CEO, the head of Google. They are all Indian, and other corporations. Okay, this is my personal opinion. Do they, it's like, it's very rare. Almost you never seeing it, that Indian programmers, they make some noise or revolution, or they demand, they create a new theory, or they say, we're gonna start a new methodology or whatever. You almost never hear that. Okay, Indian programmers, even the head of Google, they are almost like, just quiet. They just go along with whatever the white fox have set up, created. They just go along. They never start to create their own theory and, saying that, oh, we need to do this from now on. They never do that. They obey. So that is my personal observation. Okay. I don't know if I hope you guys are not offended. Okay. I'm just telling you my opinions, my observations. So the Indians, they, they get promoted, in USA. So they became the head, CEO of Google, Microsoft, and elsewhere. Cheers. So even today, so that, because of the immigration, and white man got fucked in the ass so bad, it's fairly complex. Okay, we are talking about politics in the past 5 years. Okay, you disagree. Okay, you have to tell me what's your opinion. You gotta say, because I don't know what is your opinion. Try to, type up what's your opinion. But you see, so India, so because of the immigration, because the white people, they got fucked in the past 10 years by white people themselves, and by another people also known as white people, but they are actually, they don't, they identify as something else, which is today doing the war in Iran. Okay, so they, there's quite, they got quite fucked. Okay, so the white people, because the white people, the Christianity, they got stamped on, they got, and they also got fucked by the Black Lives Matters. Okay. But basically, the white man got fucked by themselves, by white people. Okay. And the other group. So so I feel some sympathy, especially during the social justice warrior eras, which is from 2016 to about 2024, for like about 10 years. Social justice warrior era. That's when the white people got trashed, but most importantly, by white people themselves, such as Biden, Hillary Clinton, and lots of others, and the certain group which today are doing the Iran war. Okay, I don't want to mention the group's name. Yeah. Anyway, so so huge amount of immigration and okay, I think I'm drunk. Maybe I talked too much about random things. Okay. This is now officially a politics stream. Yeah. Okay. So Kebab Donna, says, I'm not offended, but my counter argument is illegal to talk about in most countries, states on this platform. Where is Oracle headquarters? Okay, Oracle is headquartered right here, Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. Okay, so if you don't know Oracle, for example, you can search for it every time you go to San Francisco. For example, I drive to San Francisco. Okay, you guys don't know, but let me show you the map. Okay, Oracle headquarters. Okay, so let me show you the map. Should we go to Google? Okay, Google Earth. Let's go to Google Earth. Let me show you guys the map. let's do just random chat. Okay, so today's topic is like Indian and politics. Okay, so you need to turn on JavaScript so Google knows where you are. Fuck Google. Okay, there's a bit more to go. Okay, so whatever that Google Plus. So there we have it. Google Earth, find and manage all your project in Google Earth. Dismiss the fuck. Oh Jesus! Another tip: dismiss the fuck. So we are looking at Earth, which may be going away. Okay, so you want to, so yeah, let's go to USA, United States of America. So that's, that's here. So let's magnify. So get rid of the clouds, and there you see. So there is USA, and I am in California here. Okay, and I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. So let's magnify. So magnify. So by the way, this part is called West Coast. On the other hand, the New York and stuff, that's called East Coast. So New York, Washington, that's East Coast. Okay, and California, that's West Coast. Okay, and Oregon. Okay, and above USA is Canada. The most populous countries are Montreal here, which is mostly Quebecois. Half of them speaks French. Okay, I lived there for 3 years during about 1986. I lived there when I was a teen in Montreal. Okay, then you got Toronto, which is very populous city, lots of Chinese there, and also in Montreal. But anyway, you got Chinese in lots of places. Then you got Vancouver, which is another big city, lots of people. Okay, so anyway, Canada is very cold. Okay, anyway, so that's Canada. Okay, above USA. Then let's go to San Francisco area. So you magnify, that's part of California. Magnify. So you can see kind of this half island. Okay, that's called San Francisco South Bay. Okay, you can see this area, San Francisco South Bay. This is called Bay Area, San Francisco South Bay Area. Okay. Then, okay, so what is Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley is basically this area, San Francisco South Bay. And the center is more like here. Okay. So you got Mountain View, Palo Alto, San Jose. This Mountain View is basically the center, so-called Silicon Valley. Okay. So if you guys don't know Silicon Valley, let me spell it out. Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, okay, not TV, but the location. So you go there. So Silicon Valley is, so this is where I live, okay? You got Apple computers, you got Stanford University, you got downtown San Jose, you got HP computers, Hewlett Packard, you got Googleplex. Okay, anyway. So it says Silicon Valley is a region in North California. That's correct. That is a global center for high technology and innovation, located in the south part of San Francisco Bay Area. It corresponds roughly to the geographical area of the Santa Clara Valley. Okay, the cities Sunnyvale, Mountain View, Palo Alto, and Menlo Park are frequently cited as the birthplace of Silicon Valley. Okay, that's Wikipedia description. Now let's go back. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you guys. Okay, San Francisco You see San Francisco. Okay, so let's go back. So you can see this USA on the west side, California state, and San Francisco. Now Los Angeles is at the bottom. Okay, so you'll see Los Angeles is there. Okay, but we are talking about San Francisco. San Francisco, and then you magnify, you can see this kind of like hook or bay. That's called Bay Area, South Bay Area. Okay, then you magnify, then you start to see Mountain View, Palo Alto, San Jose, a big city. So this, and Redwood City. So this area here is Silicon Valley. That is basically the center. Historically, it is the center of innovation of all the biggest computing technology. Okay, computers, Cray computing. Anyway, so Google is right here. So Google is like where I live. Google, for example, we can go to Google. Google is right here. Okay, this is Google. This you see Google visitor experience. Okay, this place is called Googleplex. Where is that? Anyway, this area is Google. Google is so huge. In fact, Google's got buildings all over the place. So it's not just this. Like Google is just, this is like officially the Google headquarters. Actually, is here. Okay, it's called Googleplex. Googleplex. Do they actually say? So are you guys with me? Is this talk interesting? Oh, okay. So please teach us some JavaScript. Okay, so maybe we should go back to coding. Well, okay, okay, so okay, I'm not sure what to do. Okay, so I actually, so today we are supposed to code this. Yeah, I wanted to code. I haven't actually started to tell you what, guys. I'm half drunk. Okay, I have not begin to tell you guys what is the coding problem. You see, but I can do that anyway. So we were talking about India and stuff. Baisho, what is that? What do you mean, Baisho? Baizhuo. Okay, so maybe you mean Baizhuo, the white lefties. Okay. Anyway, so it's maybe let's kind of, for continuity's sake, let's just finish what I was talking about. Okay, so here's Google. They should show the Googleplex. There should be a name popping up. This is Googleplex. Okay, I believe that's there. Anyway, that's Google headquarters. Okay, Google headquarters is here. I don't know why they don't have a title. And anyway, this computer history museum, that was the building for SGI, but SGI got bankrupt 10 years ago. SGI. Okay. Okay, so you guys don't know. Let's go to Sali.info. SGI is Silicon Graphics Computer, is one of the most popular computer 20 years ago. Silicon Graphics. Okay, this is their logo. I went there. This is so this photo is taken in 2005, and this location is 10 minutes. It's 30 minutes if I walk there. 30 30 minutes. So that would be like 2 kilometers from where I live. Okay. So this computer is Silicon Graphics. Is the most popular, like, the one of the most influential computer corporation for 20 years. Okay. But it's dead beginning in 2005. Okay. Anyway, so what are we talking about? So we started to okay. So we were talking about this computer history museum. So if you came from another country to California, to Silicon Valley, you might have heard of this computer history museum. This building was Silicon Graphics, SGI. Then after Silicon Graphics died, bankrupt, then they changed the building, became Computer History Museum. So you see lots of history of computers. So this area is Silicon Valley. Okay, for example, Apple is right here. Okay, so can you actually see it? Cupertino, there it is. De Anza College, I went there like 30 years ago. Cupertino, anyway, so Apple computer is right here. Okay, so you can see there. You see this UFO building. You see, that's Apple computer. You got a title somewhere, Apple Park. You can see. Anyway, this is Apple's building. This building was kind of the what Steve Jobs created. But before that, Apple computer is like above, a little bit below. Okay, the original Apple computer building is a bit below this UFO center. It's above. It's like somewhere down here. Okay, so anyway, I don't know if this is interesting to you guys, but anyway, so you are looking at, this is Silicon Valley. Okay, Google, PayPal, all the like Yahoo, all the big companies is here. Okay. So anyway, so let's see what else. Okay, so nobody's here. Do I stop this live stream, or do I start to code? Let's see. So in this live stream, what I want to do is that you got this Unicode. Okay, I think I'm drunk. So we got, okay, so I think I'm drunk. So you got you see, so okay, so let me show you guys what I want to do. Okay, so you got this Unicode page. This page allows you to see all Unicodes you possibly ever want to know. Okay, let me show you a few hands and gestures. Okay, gestures, hands, Unicode hands, and this gesture is the most popular by girls. A heart symbol, fucking idiots, girls. And you got food, you got pizza, you got hamburgers, you got hot dog, hamburgers, toast, flatbread, Indian, Indians got this pita. Do they call it pita? I believe so. Then you got also, bread, you got French baguette, croissant, French, bagels. Bagel is, I believe, Jewish. Well, anyway, so pizza is like Italian or something. Hot dog, American. This is like represents USA, and French fries. Even though it's like named French, but it's actually kind of American thing. and hamburgers, of course. Then anyway, so Unicode loves symbols. Oh my God, hot ass, tits and ass and cocks and penis. Okay, so this is Unicode, my page. Okay, xahli.info Unicode. So what I want to do is that, you go to, so there's lots of emojis, but besides emojis, you got the words or all the words writing systems. Okay, so on this page you can click show name. So click on that, this user interface, JavaScript, show name. So each character, so let me try again. Okay, so you can see, let me close that. So show name, toggle, no name. Now show name, no name, show name, no name. You see, so you can see, you can make the page show all the characters' name. For example, this character, heavy large circle. Now this circle is ASEAN, basically it's Chinese symbol that means good. That means good or perfect or pass. Okay, for example, you can see this cross and circle symbol on your Sony PlayStation controller or Nintendo, the Japanese game controllers. You can see these symbols, and Japanese use these symbols, especially across the circle, for anything, meaning like good or pass instead of fail. Okay, as the opposite of fail. Circle means perfect, good, or pass. Okay, so Japanese use this circle, which came from Chinese, because Chinese, that's what that's what the circle means in Chinese. Okay, kind of cultural meaning. But in the West, you don't use circle, of course. In the West, usually it's cross or like a check mark. In Asia, you don't use check mark. There's no check mark in Far East. Okay. So anyway, so you got this interface that shows the name. So you can, then you can, for each Unicode character, you can see the full name of the character, which is critical. Okay. So you got hyphen, you got hyphen minus, you got hyphen, you got non-breaking hyphen, which is that character. Then you got en dash, en dash. Then you got figure dash. Then you got em dash. Then you got horizontal bar. You see, kind of tricky. You see. Then you got low line. That you see. So that's when you need. So because in Unicode, lots of characters, they look similar, but they are actually different for different purposes. You see, hyphen minus, hyphen, non-breaking hyphen, en dash, n as nanny, figure dash, then em dash m as mommy or mountain. Then you got horizontal bar, which is even longer. Then you got a wavy low line, and you got low line. Then you got tilde. Then you got wave dash. Then you got horizontal ellipsis and middle dot. So you got lots of these Unicode characters. Okay, so you can show name, and you can change, you can click this to show symbols only, or like symbol versus emoji. Can you see that? Emoji font. So now they are shown as emoji, or you can make it shown as symbols. Okay, because Unicode, for certain characters in Unicode, they have both a emoji version and a symbol version. Okay. Then, okay, once you do that, then you also have a choices of using Google's font. So let me go here. So if you go to the emoji faces, then you can see the differences of using Google font or Microsoft font. Can you see that? Can you see? Let me remove that. Google font for emoji faces, Microsoft font, or you can pick Apple font, but Apple font doesn't work because on Windows machine, you don't have Apple, Apple's font is not available. Okay. So anyway, so you can see, let's check Google's font for emoji faces or Microsoft's font for emoji faces. Okay. So what I'm doing here is showing you this user interface bar that has these kind of features. Okay. So for example, you can show them as emoji or show them as symbols using symbols characters. So many characters become like so-called symbols. Okay. Now, this applies to larger emojis. For example, like Unicode's got 10,000 characters or something. So you can show lots of these symbols. They are available as emoji, but also as symbols. You see? You see? You see? And also, by the way, there are different symbol fonts. There's symbol font from Apple, and there's symbol font from Microsoft for Windows, and there's also symbols font for from Google. Okay, so if depending on what font you are using, they will look different. Okay, so anyway, so that's my introduction of this user interface bar. Okay, and you can see it here. So copy it. So go to the code. So open it. So can you see the user interface bar? Where is it? There it is. That's this line. Okay. So this line, type class, that class, and then pick font. This. So this is called, this user interface bar. I name it pick font. Okay. Then there is the JavaScript. Here's the JavaScript code. So if you open the JavaScript, open it. It's, I wrote it as TypeScript, which compiles to JavaScript. Okay, so open the TypeScript. So you can see here's the code. So this TypeScript, which is about 100 lines only, this TypeScript will generate, it actually generates this HTML bar. Okay, so now you can see it by inspect. Right click and inspect in a browser. So you can see this is actually generated code. Okay, this entire dive actually here. So from this part is all generated. Basically, it generates this line. Okay, then you can you can do all these changes. Okay, does that make sense? Am I like going too slow? Does that make sense? Diego, EM, what are you saying? I don't know what you're saying. Okay, so maybe I should stop now. So what I want to do is that, you see, okay, let me tell you what I want to do. So Shift Control I to show this. Then you wanna show this. You wanna show this page in a mobile phone way. So you can see. So this is how you debug or develop on your mobile phone. So in a browser, I'm right now on desktop, but you can, however, show what the page looks like on a mobile phone. For example, iPhone or Galaxy Note from or iPad from, let's see, let's say iPhone SE, anyway, so you can show how the page looks like on an iPhone. Okay, so my problem is that you see on this page on a phone, you scroll down, and then, but suppose you want to show them, you want to show them as symbols, but the user interface bar is already, you have to go to the top first, then you click, that, then you go back to see, for example, you want to see what this battery power symbol, low battery, looks like when it's symbols font, or when it's using Apple's font or using Microsoft font. You can't click here, you have to go to all the way to the top. Okay, then dismiss that. Then you have to say, okay, I want to see emoji, then go back to check. Okay, it looks like that change, you see. Then go back to the top of the page and see symbols again, then go down and you can see the symbol. So you see that battery page changed. So it's tedious, okay, because this UI interface is not available. You have to scroll up. So what I want to do is to make this, make it float. So you can have a button that says something like float, like, or when you scroll, it automatically become a little icon on the side. So when you click on that icon, it expands. So you don't have to like scroll all the way up and to see, changes. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't think anyone is watching this. Yeah, okay. So let me so that is the code. That is what we want to do. And we can start to code that, but I think I'm gonna quit. Okay, close that. Showing browser. Okay, so he's Xah become web dev. Becoming web dev. What are you talking about? I'm a web dev since like 25 years ago. I'm a professional web dev since 1998. 1997 actually. That is actually my, besides Wolfram language, which is scientific programming, mathematical scientific programming. My first job, actually my first professional job, is web dev since 1998. We do, we were in the I write e-commerce software like Amazon. Amazon, which is a huge e-commerce server. That's what I wrote. Anyway, so I was gonna, we're gonna write this little code, but I think I already talked on random shit for 1 hour. So, and plus my wife is back, so maybe I should stop, or I take a break and actually work on this. What do you guys say? I have been so unfocused in the past weeks that I would say philosopher and mathematician. Yeah, I'm a philosopher for sure, but philosopher is cheap, because being a philosopher is not really a good thing, because because philosophy, the topic is like anyone can claim to be a philosopher. Like, it's like, so what I'm saying is that the qualification, the value, I mean, the critical judge of truly good philosopher is not very clear. It's not very precise. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You see, the value of mathematician is very crisp and precise, almost throughout humanity. If you are a mathematician and if you are widely considered, accepted as a mathematician, that you do have value. You have significant value to society, to human animal society. Your value to society is highly recognized, if you are a mathematician. Okay. Similarly, if you are let's say, if you are a physicist or chemist, or in general a scientist, like a hardcore scientist, or even engineer or programmer, if you are, truly a programmer or engineer or scientist, your value to society is certain. Okay, it's fairly like certain. No, but if you claim to be a philosopher, then you kind of then your value to society is kind of questionable. Why? Because first of all, a lot of people can claim to be philosopher, especially like today when the society is very corrupted, like USA. You can have random Joe who is like deep state fuckface. They are just like trying to brainwash you. They don't actually know anything solid. They can claim, oh, by the way, I'm a philosopher. I'm a 21st century, I'm a postmodernist. Like lots of like these scammers exist today in USA, in academia. They are promoted by the deep state king and queens. They want to do wars and stuff. Okay, so these people, or feminist, or transgender philosopher, we have lots of that in past 10 years. They tell you, I'm a philosopher. I study, I'm an expert of gender issues of human history. They're gonna tell you, oh, gender is a construct. So what I'm saying is that there's lots of these, like, actually they are not really philosophers. They are just like, in other words, what I'm saying is that philosophy, the topic of philosophy can be made up. Okay, and you can't be sure, because this is philosophy is different from computer science or any hardcore sciences or engineering or mathematics. You cannot just make shit. If you make up shit, it's useless. But philosophy is very different. In philosophy, you can actually create like shit totally useless or even destructive, such kind of like capitalism, communism, and related, okay, or anarchist or whatever. You can kind of make up shit, or Hegel and whatever Hegel shit, or there's a lot. I can go into it in detail. Phenomenology, or Bible stuff, theology. So in philosophy, in the realm of philosophy, you can easily, almost trivially, or Scientology, by the way, there's also Scientology. You can almost trivially create a useless, even destructive shit, and became popular. And, so it's kind of like a scam or sham. Okay, that's philosophy. So in the realm of philosophy, it's not something whose value is readily acknowledged by society. So what I was saying, so philosopher and mathematician, yeah. So me, I'm a philosopher, kind of, but I'm mostly a programmer, you could say. of my life's work. I'm mostly, it's you would consider me a programmer that is more solid because I have like thousands of programming tutorial pages and code I have produced. Meanwhile, as a philosopher, well, that's kind of true of me. But it's not, I haven't like published, particularly in philosophy and stuff, even though I consider myself kind of like a philosopher. Okay, and as a mathematician title for me, that, well, I'm mostly amateur mathematician, you could say that, due to my publication on math education. Okay, educational math materials. As you know, I've talked about that a lot. My website is most famous for mathematics for 15 years. The top 100 most popular websites on mathematics for about from 1997 to 2010 or 2015. Okay, so for 15 years, my websites, especially this one, Visual Dictionary of Spatial Plane Curves, and this, especially this one, Discontinuous Groups of Rotation and Translation in the Plane, that's most cited. Okay, in publications, in academic journals. Okay, and on websites. So, as far as calling me a mathematician, that kind of works, but I'm mostly amateur. Okay, so Xah is structured yet chaotic. That is kind of true. Okay, so maybe last question. Do you think beauty will be the solution? Beauty can be a religious experience where beauty is grounded in math, fabric of our surroundings. Yes. Without diving into detail, yes, beauty is absolutely the kind of one of the answer for humanity. Beauty. So let me talk about that. Okay, so actually I agree with that. Beauty is so you were saying, can beauty be a religious experience? Okay. I don't know about religious experience. Yes, I think so. But actually, the way I think of beauty, I think the beauty is actually the kind of beauty is the goal of human animals. Why are we here? We are here, the question of why are we here, there are lots of answers you can find. Different philosophers or different historical figures, such as politicians, such as Chiang Kai-shek or other, big politicians, they will tell you, they have different stories to tell. They will tell you different answers about what is the purpose of human animals. But what I would tell you is that the purpose of human animals is basically for the beauty of it. Okay. And beauty, so what is beauty? Beauty is one of the major branch of philosophy. So there's no one single answer. But beauty is the beauty is basically, in my view, is the procreation. Okay. In other words, beauty is mostly the fundamental basis of beauty is procreation. That means you fuck and you make children. You replicate or multiply ourselves. That is the basis of beauty. And which in turn, beauty means beauty spur from girls. okay, female young girls. That is kind of the foundation of beauty, but not in all aspects, because for example, you have mathematical beauty. Now, mathematical beauty, the beauty of mathematical theories, I think it's very difficult to tie it to girls and sex. Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but it's hard. I think it's hard to tie mathematical beauty, the abstract beauty, to girls. But what what I have been thinking is that beauty is essentially about procreation, okay? About replicating or multiplication of ourselves. I think that is the basis of beauty. Okay, anyway, so that relates to your topic. So I think the human, what is the purpose of us here on earth? So the answer is beauty, to create and perpetuate what we see as beauty. That is the purpose of humanity. Okay, it's kind of my take. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, so we talked today for an hour and 14 minutes. Okay, bye guys.